Well, hello, Spooky and Speedy. Speedy, what's wrong? There's no treat food? No treats there either, huh? Yeah, well, those come a little bit later today. Okay? Yeah. You happy, Speedy? What about you, Spooky? You okay? Hanging out with your sister, huh? Okay. Oh, well, hello there, friends and family. It's been a while since I've seen you, especially out here in the yards and on the property. But hey, since you decided to stop by, let's show you how things are. And for those of you that are subscribers and click that little bell underneath the video and selected all notifications, you probably saw in my community post area of my channel that, yeah, I let all of you know I've been ill. Yeah, it all started back, not this past week, but the previous week. I think on the 7th of September. You see, I'd had a doctor's appointment with a specialist on the 6th. Yeah. And it's in a medical building here in my little small town where doctors from Montgomery, the capital city, and Auburn to the northeast come for a day or two. Yeah, they're not here every day, every week. And I went there. And what it has is a big central lobby or waiting area. Yeah, a lot of people were there because there's many doctors there. There's general practitioners. There's all kinds, cardiologists, internal medicine, surgeons, urologists, which is what I was there for. And you sit down with all of them. And I'm not saying that that's where I caught whatever it was that got inside me and made me feel so bad. And trust me, I was feeling bad. When you're feeling too bad to just get out here and hold a camera, you're really down. Anyway, it's up to speculation just what I had. Many friends and family have their ideas and their suspicions, and I have mine. But I'm back on the mend. Since I am on the mend, I'm trying to get things back in order. But that brings up what I'm going to show you today. And many of you live alone, or you have a spouse, and there's only one of you to do all the things you got to do in your everyday life. And when you get down and get ill to the point where even minimal chores are a chore, you got to cut back till you get better too. And that's exactly where I was this previous week and the better part of this week too. I could only do the minimum things. You know, take care of the kitty crew, do all the things with them, you know, do minor chores in the house. And I pretty much let the yard and garden go. Yeah, I kept watering it, but only bare minimum to keep it alive. Thankfully, the rains came, and that sort of held me up the last couple of days. It's rained and rained off and on. But now, it's a bright blue sky, partly cloudy. The temperatures are just wonderful. I think it's 84 right now. And we're not supposed to get above the mid-80s for quite some time. So I'm saying maybe fall is here. But hey, let's take a look around the place, because I really haven't looked at it hard too. I've sort of avoided it, you know, because if I would have looked too hard, I would have saw what I needed to do. So let's walk and talk about when the only one there, when you're living alone, goes down. What happens then? Well, Spooky and Speedy, y'all just gonna hang out on the front porch while Papa does a walkabout? Well, okay. Spooky, quit picking on your sister, okay? So as you can see, we're at the blueberries, and they are finally done for the year. The only thing left is some dried up blueberries that will soon fall. I'm gonna try my very best to get out here tomorrow and pick what's left. They bore really great this year. I was really worried they wouldn't after that Arctic blast. I've got pints, freezer bags of quarts and pints all stocked up in the freezer. More than I'll eat in this coming winter and spring. Yes, I will. So we're going to start here at the old south side garden bed. And we're here at the little okra plants, and they're not looking too chipper. They sort of stayed small, but we kept them alive during the massive heat. And you can see, oh, there's a nice looking okra pod right there. That one's ready to eat. Several more coming on. I bet if I give them a little fertilizer, which I'll probably do sometime in the coming week, they'll perk up and production will increase. Well, this acorn squash didn't make it while I was down, but it left me a little tiny nugget of ripened squash to harvest. It may be small, but I bet it's yummy. And I'll take what little bit I can get. The collards, I can't say enough. You know, back when things heated up in the spring, I had a couple of them bolt, and I said right then, you know, cold weather crops, cool weather crops like collards and such were done for the year. But these never did bolt and continued to produce all this time through all this heat. And they're looking mighty fine. They got some holes and such. I'm sure they need some fertilizer too. As you can see, our husky cherry tomato, yep, see, I ain't been picking. So there's 3 nice red ripe cherries right there, and a couple more. They'll soon be ready too. Still producing, but she's looking a little ragged. The cucumbers are pretty much done. But way up there is a really fine looking one. Look at that. And that's almost perfect. I'll have to see how I can get up there to pick it on off. I'm thinking I'll just knock her down or do something like that, because I'm not in any shape to be climbing ladders anytime soon. Ooh, it's gorgeous though, and I'll bet it's so yummy. The beans, they're history. Now, these collards are still producing as well. And here's one thing you'll see, these are still in the shade and looking okay with just a little bit of wilting. Where you get over here still, even though it's only 84. This bright sunshine, they're drooping rather bad. And that's been a problem. All from late spring through the summer, and now too. That's why watering is so critical. My radish bed over here, well, a lot of it died off in my absence. Yes, it did. Once y'all leave for the day, I'll give it a good watering and save what I can. So that's the south side bed. You know, it's been 10 days since I was out here tending to everything the way I should. And we were up in the mid to high 90s every day till starting about this Saturday. And we only got rain starting Friday through yesterday. So yeah, I had to keep watering. My collard cousin over here that's keeping company with its cousin Kale is looking really nice. You know, maybe not tonight, but maybe tomorrow night I'm gonna have some collards and country ham. Yes, I will. It's pretty easy to make. Do y'all know how? Would you like me to show you? Just let me know. And the garlic chives, the blossoms have faded and the seed is forming, as you can see right there. And we're going to take this seed, once it dries, it'll actually turn dark black, and we're going to sow it along the back property line. I still got to get a new pot for these chives. So now we'll wander on off. I got Spooky here with me, leading the way. Well, he's probably wanting treats. If all truth be known. Come on, Spooky. Let's head her on down there to the tire planters and see how they fare. And as you can see, the grass needs mowed. In fact, that's what I was doing. Oh, the Monday and Tuesday before I went to the doctor's. Getting the yard all shaped up and trimmed too. I was feeling rather proud because I was feeling really good. But, like I said, whatever I caught took me down fast and took me down hard. So yeah, let's go on down here to the tire planters because they've suffered in this heat. And there's something that needs watered every day in the mornings and in the afternoons, or it won't survive. And I've let it go. But I'm going to show you something between raised bed planting in the deep south and in-ground planting that maybe you didn't know. Because everybody is all about raised beds and how great they are. Well, if you know about that thing called gravity, and that water will soak through the ground until it just runs out and can't go any further, well then you know a raised bed requires way more watering than plants in the ground. I have a perfect example for that I'm about to show you now. So let's head on over and talk more about that. Well, I think this little acorn squash plant has pretty much missed me too, and is about done for this year. But it gave us a nice squash too. Right, Spooky? And here's the kale. It has been growing now a full year. We lost two, but you'll notice they're sprouting along the stalk. The radishes, you know, they're a cool weather crop too, and they've struggled in this heat. Yep, it looks like all the kale may sprout up the shaft, just like this one too. I bet those are super tender. The tops are still growing. I can tell I need to water this evening as well. The ground's bone dry. But here's my okra in this tire planter. And you can tell right away by the size of these okra pods, I just didn't feel up to picking them off. Yep, so they may be through. But that's just fine. And you can look at how the leaves have fallen off. Because with me only doing minimal watering, only once a day, they really suffered from the heat and got stressed out too. This kale is still hanging on. This kale will be a year old too. I would have never believed it. But look at this okra here that I planted in the ground and I thickly mulched all around. Look at the difference in this okra and how it looks, and this okra in the tire planter, which is basically a raised bed above the ground. Now, this thing is loaded up with okra. Most of it is far too big to eat. And once y'all leave for the day, I'll be out here cutting it off. And since I don't got chickens or hogs, it'll return back to the earth via the compost pile. And yeah, that's a shame. But when you're really sick or ill or what have you, you have to make decisions on just what's important and what you can do. But I'll pick everything off. I'll hit it with a little fertilizer and treat it nice. And these in the ground, I'm sure, will recover. Hey, look at those two stink bugs kissing and mating. Yeah, remind me to come back and take care of them. But if you never seen stink bugs mating, well, there you go. Yeah, ain't nature wonderful? Right, Spooky? And this one too is loaded up with okra. I think we can save a few. This is the Calhoun okra. Yep. From Hoss Tools. And even when they're this big, they're still tender enough to use. So I have a few. And once I get them all clipped off, that'll spur the plant on to make more. Yeah, the grass needs mowed really bad now. Yeah, she's about up to shin high, as they say. But only on here in the back part of the yard, because the rest was taken care of before I went down. Ooh, look at this raised bed. It's suffering too. What's left of my radishes looks like they're about to bolt. The Swiss chard, well, it's hanging in there, but some type of bug has found it too. The onions look fine. Our cherry over here, oh, I see some new cherry tomatoes that weren't there a week or so ago. But look at here. These are all garlic chives that have grown up wild all throughout the yard. You see them all out through there? Yeah. That was because right here is where that pot used to sit for nearly 20 years. And I'd let it seed. The wind would catch the seed and blow it all across this back area here. Right, Spooky? What do you think? You're right there with me. Ooh, look at those nice cherries forming there. Yeah, we're gonna have to do a little more tying up on this thing. More blossoms there. So we'll still have more cherry tomatoes for our salads to come. But let's take a look at the tomatoes. I'm sure we got some casualties there. Yep. I can see one there that got past its prime. But we got some fine ones on there. That one there ain't gonna make it too. Plenty of green ones up in there. And let me tell you, they have continued to grow, and they're now about 8 feet high. Yes, they are. And they're starting to drape down. And with these temperatures cooling down, they're loaded up with blossoms. And I'm thinking they'll be loaded up with tomatoes soon. Plenty of green ones up in there. And there's some more. See a couple of red ones up in there. They split because of all the torrential rain we've had the last day or two. This onion planting has suffered too. The squash, well, it's finally reaching its end. And I can see some ripe ones in there. Maybe some that have went past prime. Like that one right there. But these, whoo, these are looking perfect. We gotta get to picking. And there's a really nice one right there. And I can see so many more all throughout where these vines have ran. Cucumbers over here are still hanging on. Oh, there's a nice ripe acorn right there. Wasn't there 2 weeks ago. Still fine. And another nice one there. They're small, but I'll take every one we can get. Right, Spooky? Uh-oh. Look at there, Spooky. There's all kinds of tomatoes in there. There's one. I see another one way back in there. All kinds of green ones right there. Yeah, they're drooping in the heat. Well, it's not that it's hot. It's just this blazing sun. Oh my Lord, Spooky. Look at it right here. Man. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 tomatoes. Woo! We're going to be picking this evening. Now we got to figure out what to do. But yeah, things got away from me. And I hate it. You might say, well, my kids could have helped out, but they got lives too. Look at the size of that acorn right there. It's bigger than my hand. That's probably the biggest one I got growing so far. Yep, powdery mildew has set in. I think once I pick all the acorns off these vines, I'll have way more than I'll need for the winter time. You know, only one person can eat so much. The beans, they're finishing up. Yes, they are. Now, I've grown beans all the way to frost. So why this year different? Well, because I've been letting them go, not picking them off, so they will dry and provide me seed. And once you do that, once you start letting the pods dry, they'll shut down. And that's their end. And that's exactly what's happening here. Plenty of dried beans though, which you could eat, just like any other bean. Don't have to be pintos or black beans. You can eat any bean seed from any of the green bean varieties you so desire to grow. The bananas still got a plenty of peppers, many of which, well, we lost one, maybe two. Yep, that's what goes when you neglect things, right, Spooky? Spooky, why weren't you taking care of all that? Why do you always use that issue of no thumbs? Yeah, the kitty crew tries. That no thumb thing really penalizes them. Look at those two. They're simply stunning. And more in here too. Of course, we lost another one. These beans are still looking good. Look at this one right here. That one's more than ready to eat. But the stink bugs are back. I hate those things. Well, there's plenty of beans up there, all up through there, that need picking today as well. Our poblano peppers. Yeah, that one's got blossom end rot. But that's just, oh well. Still got plenty more. We got one way up here in the top. The lunchbox pepper, it just didn't make the trip. Nope, it just couldn't survive the heat, even though I watered it every day. I think this will be the last year that I try a lunchbox, unless I do it in the very early spring. Come on, Spooky. I know you're wanting to play, but we're walking and talking about with our friends and family today. So come on. Oh, down here it looks like a jungle. Those acorn squash plants are just everywhere. They've went all the way out here into the yard. And I can see all kinds of squash up in there. The peppers, well, they've took a beating this year. We had hail too, and that beat them down again. We'll try to do some pruning and save what we can. Well, can you see all those tomatoes up in there? Well, I sure can. So I need to make a plan. But don't get too hard on the little old man. I did all I could for what I felt like. Like I say, if you're single and living all alone, you're near my age, with certain health conditions and what have you, you'll know just what I'm talking about. These cucumbers here finally bit the dust. In fact, the way I felt, I just quit watering them because I'm going to let them go, cut them all down, and plant me some peas for this fall. Well, there's the feeder right where I left it when I was mowing Tuesday evening. Yeah, I meant to fill it up and hang it back up for my feathered friends, but I never got it back around to it. That feeder's empty too. Yeah, we got to get that done here in a bit. The pig, it's really appreciated the rain. So with me down, yeah, with me down, the others that really appreciated was the birds, because they could beat me to the pigs. And they did. But it seems like today, they knew the old man might be out and around. And they left me one really nice, juicy one right there. Oh my Lord. That one is fully ripe. And when I bit into it, woo, it's full of juice. It was just right. There's a few more left, but not many to be found now. Those birds have been Johnny on the spot and cleaning them out. Well, that's okay. Before last week, I was way ahead of the game. And I had more pigs than the birds for a change. Oh, there. Well, there's that old front porch. Yeah, let's go ahead and sit down. What do you say? Here in the shade. I don't think we'll have to talk Spooky into it. He's already taken his place. So there you have it, friends and family. Yeah, I haven't really had it in me this past week and the previous week too to really spend a lot of time in the gardens, as you can see. I'd picked everything off Wednesday before I got so sick. But you can see how the okra did. Okra needs to be picked at least every day, if not every other day, or to get too big. You know, I just couldn't keep up with it. Because once you pick it, you got to do something with it. You know, cut it up for freezing, can it, or what have you. And it's just like the tomatoes. I picked a bag of them, and I've ate every one. And when I was watering, I didn't pay any attention what was on the plants. I came out, did the minimum to keep it all alive, and went on back in. Now I won't lie, I laid back down. That's been pretty much my life for the past 1.5 weeks. I'm feeling better, though I'm not 100%. But I really appreciate you coming by and taking a walk and letting us talk and seeing where the garden went while the old man was away. You see, I wasn't away for vacation or out playing around. Every day I really wanted to be out here, even more than I was. But I went till that's all I dare do. Came in, got on my oxygen, and laid down and took a nap. That's just the way it is with some of us. You know, people say, well, you ain't old, Mr. Tom. Well, in comparison to some of my viewers, I'm not. But in comparison to others, I am. And then there's the underlying health conditions that we all have. I have high blood pressure and COPD. And when you get down with something I've had the last week and a half, whatever it was, and we'll leave it at that, my breathing was sorely affected. And even the sheer walking, toting water and dragging a hose sometimes got me out of breath. And then it was just the sheer heat and humidity on top of everything. And of course the blazing sunshine. It was over the week and a half up until Friday. Oh my Lord. Not only was it hot and humid, but bright blue skies. But that's enough whining from me. I just wanted to share this all with you and document it for me, my children and grandchildren too. So hey, if you'd like to see your collards and ham video, maybe we'll throw in some kale too. And I'm thinking maybe with all, I still have a sizable amount of okra that's usable. And as you saw, a pile of tomatoes too, and peppers. I'm thinking about some vegetable gumbo. That's tomatoes, okra and peppers and onion, garlic, seasonings, all cooked down and eaten over rice. It is so good. It was one of my mama's favorite, even though she didn't call it gumbo, that we had during the season when we were gardening and we had everything on hand. So hey, until Spooky, you know, the big brother to everyone, Speedy and Cleo, sometimes Heathcliff, and now Fluffy Muffin too, and of course little Gracie, the princess of the house. See y'all on that next episode of Mr. Tom's Neighborhood. Y'all take care, stay safe, may God bless you all. Until we all see you again. Goodbye for now. Spooky, are you all tuckered out from that walk? Yeah, well, I'm gonna have to get a drink and refresh myself. And then I think I'll take a nap too. It's early afternoon, why not? And then we can get up and you and I can go pick. What do you say, buddy? You all for that? Well, we'll just have to see. Oh, he'll be there with me. And maybe my little whiner, Speedy too. Wonder where Cleo's at. She's been hanging out at her other houses a lot. Cleo's a moocher. Yeah, now the temperatures have faded off, the kids are back out. And she loves being the only one that they can all pet and care for. Well, for now, till we see you again, later all. Gracie, what do you want? Why didn't you take a walkabout with me, huh? No, you're just spoiled. All you want to do is sit in the house, don't you? Well, it's not food time yet. That comes later.
And you know it. But you're still my little baby, aren't you? Stick your tongue back in your mouth. You just happy, ain't you? Yep, she got her tail wiggling and her tongue hanging out. All's good in her world.